Welcome, Miracle Makers. It's Dr. Sarah Larsen and co-founder Greg Larsen. Today we are talking about being brave, and we are talking in this love coaching course for you how to stand up and be brave. One of the distinctions that Greg Larsen, co-founder of Miracle Makers Academy, has brought in is there's a difference between being brave and being bold. And so I would love for this man who, when I first met him, one of my earliest questions to him was, "What are you afraid of?" And he said, "Nothing." And I said, "Are you afraid of death?" And he responded with, "No, I'm not afraid of death." And as a young woman that had traveled the world, had served in so many countries as a doctor in so many different regions, the thing that I recognized that I was most afraid of was other people's opinion. And most afraid of was, in particular, disappointing or hurting my parents. Meeting Greg and meeting him and him saying, "I'm not afraid of a thing." And during different times in our life, I've witnessed his bravery. And I've witnessed my own borrowing of that, lending of that energy into what I am creating or growing. So often that's shown up. And so I'd love for you to share a little bit more about that, Greg.
Yes. Well, as we were talking there before we started recording, my distinction was, or being bold is also good, but bold and brave, I think, could be similar. But the what's important is to be conscious. So to be consciously brave, because navigating a relationship is, one of the greatest challenges a human being can face. And to be, so deeply present in that experience that you can make space for the other person to be brave and share at a very vulnerable level, and then for you to be brave and share at a very vulnerable level is, there's so much gold in that. There's so much, richness in that. But if it's, done out of reaction instead of response, then that boldness or that braveness can be counterproductive or destructive
Even counterproductive or destructive.
Yeah.
And so those are great points to bring in to this conversation and into this work that we're doing. I think as we watched Jasmine and Tyler, our children, right, march down the street last week with a group of kids, what came up for you as bravery?
Sorry about that. Let me turn it off or turn down the ringer. Yeah, well, again, was brave also, because they were being very vocal and, making their voice heard. So that, and leading even, I would say, leading the group. So there was a display of a lot of bravery there. And I don't, in that case, I don't think there was as much space for this, unconscious bravery to rise up. I really think that in a relationship, it really is, there is, it's, the perfect environment for being brave. But if you're wounding or your ego or your, the society's unconscious, dogmas are plaguing that relationship, it can just, become very disorganized and painful and unraveling, in a way that it doesn't need to be if the both individuals were more conscious.
And you know that this to be you, right? What is the energy it takes for you to get your needs met, to be you, which is to be brave, to be the authentic version, to say with compassion, as a teacher of Eckhart Tolle's work, right? As a teacher that found, you taught me Byron Katie's work. You went through the processes. What do you think that is?
Well, that is all an attempt to, to be more, I'll just say it again because it's the word that resonates, more conscious in those relationships. Because I think in the past, women had no voice. They had no legal rights. They were property of their husbands. So there a lot of consciousness wasn't needed in a relationship. You were either, verbally abused, physically abused, or you submitted to the, to the demands of the husband. Now that isn't the case anymore. And
And this,
so there's
yeah.
there's never been more of a need for, being consciously brave. And and women are even in a space nowadays where they're able to actually be brave in a relationship where they didn't even have a legal right to do that before. They were just given from their family to another family and their husband, and that was it. And if I was just reading yesterday, there was like, oh, in India, husbands were not happy with the dowry of their bride, so they killed their bride because they weren't happy with the size of the dowry. Just like, wow, talk about, still in the world today, that type of, just deep unconsciousness around relationships.
So so thank you so much for that. And it's a great way for us to start this conversation on how to be brave. And as someone that grew up right in India, in Pakistan, in a culture that really did not value smart, bold, brave women or men. It's really important to get that men were raised by women that demonstrated, most of them, not being brave. I want to say this another way. We grew up looking at women. If women raised their volume, had a voice, we labeled them angry. If men were loud, say men are yelling at the television because they want a ball to go a particular direction, right? We're looking at those men as passionate. We're labeling them in a positive way. If women raise their voice, if they share a concern, and this has been highlighted over and over again in television, in writing. Smart women were taught in many cultures to be seen as innocent, naive young women, to play a role or a character that was ingenuine to their true nature. Women, oh my gosh, and men that empower these women, right? Women have to, women give birth. And it's an incredible thing to get. They are so strong. From an early age, they are mandated with keeping their emotions in a manner that's pleasing to others, for fear of being labeled, quote unquote, in the Western culture, crazy, right? In the Eastern culture, the fear in that culture is of being disobedient or not godly or not sacred. I want to say that again in another way. Our world is in its current state because men and women have learned to be ingenuine. And they learned this it's a word that really, our cultural shift has to happen now. It has to start with you. Whoever is hearing this, it's so important that cultural shifts have to be made from the traditional way that we see women and the men that support them. There's a documentary that I mentioned in the beautiful newsletter that went out. Misrepresentation explores the ingenuine role to women, reinforcing the damaging narrative that a woman's value lies in her youth and beauty. It's in every culture. In every culture, we have to raise the bar of showing up brave and showing up in a way that activates the love that's inside each of us. And more than ever, this is what Earth is requiring for us to be able to move through and make sure that humanity continues. It requires you to step into your genuine miracle maker frequency self. This part of staying in a box, right? This part of your love contained in a box. I want to say that another way. If you are concerned about other people's opinion, or you are moved by the way that you're perceived out there, rather than what we've been working on within Miracle Makers, we've been working on making bravery and making your miracle making frequency your best friend. Bravery versus, and I would say that bravery with compassion, bravery with imagination, bravery with this deep empathy for others around you is the greatest gift that you can give yourself. I want to say this another way. You make your beliefs. Most of your beliefs were made before the age of 7, before the age of reason. And unless you're willing to consciously challenge what exists, what's out there, right? For me, as a Pakistani Asian woman, Indian Asian woman, I've always belonged. I've belonged to my parents, then I belonged to the men that I married. The first one, near-death experiences, right? Arranged marriage at age 14. And in the culture that I grew up in, and in the culture that you're growing up in, belonging is the most important value system. Who and what do you belong to and with? I want to say this another way. The dynamics of belonging are part of your physical need for your belief system. I want to say that another way. This is so important. that when you believe you belong, the mammal, the you that you are, locks into a field and makes available more of your body, brain, spirit, intelligence. When you feel that you do not belong, when you are alone in yourself, right? So there's when you're alone, your body begins to shut down and your body begins to create dis-ease. And so part of belonging is layers of you. Part of being brave is layers of you. Part of consciously being bold and in love and being as good to as many people as possible, right? So I want to start this bravery, plea, cry, urge, demand situation for you. This is coming in because you make your beliefs. Yes, they were given to you. Yes, in your genetics, they express themselves. Yes, it's really, really important to get into and belong to yourself. When you belong to the sovereign being that you are, we call that healing. Heal. When you belong to the energy that beats and excites your heart, that's the next level of belonging. As a child, you were taught to disregard much of what you saw, what you experienced, what you might have believed to be belonging to your family, to society, your parents, your community. And this is the thing. No one else can do this bravery thing for you, right? You've got to belong to yourself, your entire body. Sometimes you have to set aside time. And we do this in Miracle Makers with our community events. And we do this on the VIP days, the one-on-one days. And sometimes when it's really important for a session, that's what we work on in the quick start sessions, right? You belonging to you. So you have command over your body. Your spirit belonging to your beliefs belong to you. You do not belong to your beliefs. I want to say all of that another way. The areas in your life that you're most free, self-expressed, brave, and bold in are the areas that are working. The areas where you have limited expression, you gave up a part of yourself. And when you go into heal, when you go into a ritual to heal, you allow you to collect yourself again, empowered in that area. In parts that you are blaming someone else, consciously, that you're saying, God, if my parents would have been different, if society would have been different, if my husband would have been different, I would be different. what's happening and occurring there is you are powerfully sending a message to the universe, to God, source, energy, everyone that hears that you choose not to be powerful in that area. And it's so important that you get none of this is your fault. The earth that we're part of, the earth, all of this that we inherit, all of this that we're part of, you, our life, seeking life, expanding life, seeking self-expression, seeking genuine expression of your life force. So you heal, you stay within your body, you're listening to the thoughts, you're experiencing, and collectively with all of your organs in any relationship, showing up as the bravest version of yourself. So I learned this from Greg Larsen, right? Who would I be without that thought? He taught me about Byron Katie's work, the work. Within the first few weeks of meeting him, we were leading retreats, and big, huge packets showed up. This big, huge packet that he created would ask me questions, and everyone that participated, who are you? Who are you? I want you to take a moment and answer that for yourself. Who are you? My answer would be, I am a product of my parents. You know, the joke that I had back then, people are like, who are you? Where did you come from? Why are you so nice? Why are you so smart? And I would jokingly say, I'm a product of my parents, you know, the sperm and the egg. It's funny in the medical community. Anyway, it's who are you? I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. Who are you? And eventually, when you peel back the layers, you get to I am. I am that I am. If you go to be still and know. When you get to I am life. In previous classes in Miracle Makers Academy, we've got the 3 graces. We worked on, with Miracle Makers, turning on the energy of grace. I am grace, right? I am the grace that can receive. I can receive a gift and go, thank you so much, and feel no obligation towards the giver of the gift. I can receive it as, oh, thank you, it came from you, I appreciate you. I can thank the shop that brought this into existence. I can thank the flowers that brought it. I can thank the earth. I can thank the energy that grew that. It all came from that same place. Right? Grace. If I passed away today, this would be given to a beloved. And it all came from and goes to the same place. That grace. First grace. Grace in receiving. How graceful are you in receiving feedback? When the feedback is not complimentary, do you take it personally? When the feedback isn't gracefully presented, loud volume, yelling maybe, do you change? that grace, right? Receiving the perfect gift, whether it's sacred oils. Receiving, right? The delivery of a gift, being the grace that gives. And if you're the grace that gives feedback, right? If you're the grace that's giving feedback, you want to come and speak the language of the person that's going to receive that gift. It was Nelson Mandela that says, speak to a man in your own language and he will understand you. Speak to a man in his language and he will love you. Speak to another in their value system, what they value. This is how to be brave. This is how to be bold and conscious. This is how you make your beliefs. When you're giving a gift, whether it's feedback or a physical gift, you give it into their value system. It was Wallace Wattles that said, if you sell a Eskimo a painting, and you buy furs from an Eskimo and you sell him a fabulously expensive, valuable painting, let's say it's a Picasso, for $50, right, to an Eskimo that is selling you furs, and this painting might be valued several $1,000,000, you might be doing that Eskimo a disservice. You're doing him a disservice if you can't sell it, feed his family with it, do anything with it. The point that Wallace Wattles is making there is give to another or exchange with another what adds value. Be good to as many people as possible, right? When you show up, when you give, when you are that grace, it's so extraordinary. The grace that gives. When you're giving feedback, when you're giving a gift, give it from the space that it comes through me to this person. Knowing yourself is the greatest gift you can give any person around you. Knowing your beliefs and that you are making the belief. You make your beliefs. And imagine the life that you choose to live. Imagine that life. Imagine stepping boldly into that. That's the giver of the gift to yourself, right? That grace. That grace is going to require you to do things that you've never done before. It's going to require you to have conversations that you've never had before. It's going to require you to let go of old systems that are ingrained in you. So important, so beautiful, so necessary. The grace that receives without taking anything personally, receives it with gratitude and love. The grace that gives it for the other as a gift. And then there's the grace of the witness. And the witness, and each one of us has to be each of these graces at different times. You've got to practice and become really great at this. You can see a beloved neighbor or not a beloved neighbor with something that you want. and to witness it and say, thank you, Source, thank you, love, for giving this to that person. That amplifies the energy around you, the vortex around you, being the perfect witness. And again, understanding that if you have difficulty giving, difficulty receiving, difficulty witnessing, it's not your fault. You've got to imagine. So you might have to imagine your neighbor as your child. You're like, God, I really want that for my child. I want my child to have that. And so your heart grows another size. So you genuinely get to step willingly into that grace of witness. So as someone, as I witnessed beautifully my parents giving and loving to each of my siblings. And because I myself didn't feel loved, I measured it all the time, right? And I tried to outgive my loving to my parents, my loving to my sisters and brothers, and loving that, witnessing it, and measuring it, and wanting to give it, right? It's a subtle energy thing. To witness it and go on the inside, maybe I'm not loved as much. And as a passive aggressive compensation thing, to give more, to give more, to give more. Or to want to receive more, want to receive more, want to receive more. When you set your compass is the root of the word compassion. When you set your compass to the three graces, am I giving this in their value system? Am I giving an Eskimo a Picasso that he can't feed his family with? Right? That metaphor really gets you to think. Make sure what you're delivering to that person is of value to that person. The giving. Make sure you're not giving to get. Genuine giving. And children and most people that have had hurt relationships, right? Growing up, measure love in time. Let me say that another way. Those children that grew into adults that didn't get the attention from an adult will constantly seek time from you. So, really important, really profound. You will seek time from others as a measurement of love. There's 5 love languages. Such a beautiful book, such a beautiful teaching, right? You make your beliefs. If you got time from your parents, you will speak one of the other love languages. Physical touch, words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service. Oh my gosh, I love teaching you this stuff. So how to be brave. You've got to check in with yourself. What is it that you want another to give you most? So whatever I am lacking, whatever I want Greg to give me most, whatever I want my kids or my community to give me most, that's what I've got to present. So if I want from my parents love and appreciation and recognition, I've got to deliver that to my parents. If I want significance, to feel significant, I've got to do that for other people. If I want to feel wealthy, now in Miracle Makers Academy, again, we teach the 7 areas of life. Physically, the best you can feel is vitality, right? In your body, vital. You sit long enough to see which organs are vital. You feel the vitality, you thrive that out. We do that every Wednesday in our Wellness Wednesdays. So beautiful, so magnificent. Physical, feeling vitality. Spiritually, feeling like you're on a mission. Mentally, feeling like a genius, a genie, a genius to solve your problems. Then in your primary relationships, your relationships with your people you spend most time with, are you stable? And I want to tell you where you spend time with most people. You spend time with most people in your thoughts. In your thoughts is your relationship with everyone in your life. And if you're having repeated conversations with this person in your mind, in your heart, but you're not physically having them out in the world, that's not true stability. Stability is trusting that you can have deep, meaningful, loving conversations in another's value system that will help grow what you two can do together. Stability, stability, primary relationships. Your primary relationships are in your thoughts. Secondary relationships, friends, are a network, a net that works. This net catches you. This net lifts you up. It's above you. Some of your friends are above you to pull you up. Some of your friends are there to catch you. Why does that happen? Because that's who you are for them. You bring them up. Net that works, you catch them. Part of the reason we created Miracle Makers Academy is to help as many people as possible, to offer the best for a minimal amount. When you really get the value, when you really love another, you want them to have this value as well. You share it. Collectively, we are an energy field. And a net that's working lifts everyone up together. Whether you're on the calls or in the classes, by energetically contributing, you're forming the net that catches you and all that are in lifting you up. Friends, the best you can achieve, network. With finances, The best you can achieve is a feeling of feeling wealthy. And within incredible relationships with vocation, your work, the best you can achieve is fulfillment. Those you've got to answer those questions for yourself. You make your beliefs. What is your beliefs? And when you really know thyself, bravely, boldly, consciously, you move into the life that you imagine, the life that you're living, the life that you're creating. And I can't wait to dive in. In a few minutes, we're going to jump into co-founder Greg Larsen and I are going to jump into, hey, what belief might be stopping you from consciously being brave? As a medical intuitive, I can hear your body. It speaks so loud. I can tell you where the injury in your 3 graces might be showing up for your love relationships, right? Let me say that another way. Today's focus is love coaching. And your relationships, your love, your everything about friendships grows. Stability grows when you are the bravest version of yourself. That's today's class in love coaching. Wednesday's class, the same topic. We would be talking about each of your organs and what I'm putting in quotes, diagnosis, what the diagnosis might be, and how to empower your body to move away from dis-ease into heal, into feel, into thrive. And Sundays, mystery school teachings. On Sundays, we dive in and we really explore subtle energy, quantum energy with big energy, the universe, the great mysteries. And we initiate and activate all of that for you. So this week, it's at a different time. So make sure you're signed up for the newsletter. Make sure you know that as a part of Miracle Makers, energy is being done for you. And so naturally, this week, you're going to start stepping bravely, boldly into the life that you've imagined for yourself. So make sure that as you're imagining the life that you want to live, make sure you're imagining boldly and beautifully. And when the action steps, are you to give in this moment? Are you to give words, give a gift, give recognition, give physical touch? What form of love are you required to give? What form of love are you required to receive and not take it personally? What is it that you are to witness? A most important question for you to answer this week in the love coaching class is, who are you being? And if you don't like how you're being in the moment, if you're being bratty, or if you're being sad, or if you're being disempowered, how do you want to be? Who would you be? How would you be? Oh my gosh, I love you guys so much. I can't wait to dive in and answer your specific questions. And oh my gosh, thank you for being here.